Welcome to Mysteries to Die For and this toe tag. I am TG Wolff and I'm here with Jack, my piano player and producer. This is normally a podcast where we combine storytelling with original music to put you at the heart of a mystery. Today is a bonus episode that we call a toe tag. It's the first chapter from a fresh release in the mystery, crime, or thriller genre. And today's featured release is Dying to Know by TJ O'Connor. Alright, today we are going to do chapter 1 and 2 because it's my prerogative and that's what I think you'll enjoy. Alright, chapter 1. Dying is overrated. Murder, on the other hand, is not. Trust me, after 15 years as a detective, I know a lot about both. Like death and murder are always complicated, but not always related. You can have death without murder, but not the other way around. That's what I used to think, anyway. I changed my mind after an episode of my reoccurring nightmare. I'd been having it for years, and it always turned out the same. While chasing a bad guy in the dark, he turned and shot me. I was about to die when something always pulled me from the nightmare. This time, it was Hercule's hot breath. My 4-year-old black lab was standing beside my bed, alternating between low growls and a tongue lashing. Both demanded my attention. When I opened my eyes, he lapped at my face and nudged me with his big wet nose. I forced my eyes open wider and at the same time realized that Angel was not snuggled beside me in bed. She was standing across the room and listening at our bedroom door. Angel, did you hear something again? She always heard things late at night and always felt compelled to share them with me. Are you sure? Yes, Doc. Herc heard it too. Wake up, will you? What kind of detective are you? The asleep kind. Just get up, please. Hercule froze, nose down, staring at me as we both heard creaking floorboards in the downstairs hall. I rolled sideways and sat on the side of the bed. Hercule crept away and crouched near the door. For the third time, something interrupted Angel's sleep. The first 2 times were just our old house's creaks and groans, and both failed to wake Hercule out of a stone-cold sleep. Now, after summoning me, he was poised for homeland defense. Got to my feet and gathered my clothes littered in a strategic path across the room. I nearly toppled over slipping on my jeans and a black t-shirt and did manage to trip over my running shoes. Angel motioned for Herc to return to the bed. To me, she whispered, "Hurry up! Look, if I'm going to get killed tonight, I don't want to be naked." I grabbed my .40 caliber Glock from the nightstand and checked the chamber. Then I retrieved a .38 revolver from our walk-in closet and handed it to Angel. "Just in case," I said. "Okay, be careful." "Keep her close, babe. If it's your imagination, stay awake and lose the PJs. If it's trouble, give me 15 minutes, then lose them." Even in the dark, I could see her eyes roll. "Just be careful." At the door, I listened but heard nothing. I winked at Angel and Hercule on the bed and whispered, "I love you." "You too, Angel." Hercule wagged his tail. In the hallway, I waited for my eyes to adjust a little more to the darkness. I shifted them to use my peripheral vision, looking for any telltale movement. Still nothing. From the top of the stairs, I could just make out the foyer below and did not see or hear anything. There was no wispy shadows, no running feet, no creaking floorboards. Yawning, I eased down the stairs with my Glock out in front of me. At the bottom landing, I stopped. Darkness, and the grandfather clock greeted me. It chimed, too. The downstairs was quiet, and I checked the front door. It was still locked, and there were no signs of splintered wood, broken glass, or other forced entry. The only sound I heard was my own breathing. The only curious sighting was the half-dressed, frumpy guy in the hall mirror who looked tired and irritated. Maybe Angel would be losing those PJs sooner rather than later. I started with the kitchen and worked my way around the first floor, searching room by room, all 5 of them, ending in my den. Nothing. The most dangerous thing I found was Hercule's squeaky frog that scared the crap out of me when I stepped on it. I felt foolish and decided to head back to bed. It hit me when I reached to turn off my desk lamp. The light shouldn't have been on. I looked around. My briefcase wasn't in its ritual place on my credenza. It was on my chair and the contents were strewn over my desk. Everything was dumped out. My gold detective's badge and ID, several files, a notepad, tape recorder, and my .38 backup piece. No, the Walther wasn't there. The holster was empty. Angel! I bolted to the stairs and looked up. Floorboards groaned above me. A door opened in the darkness beyond the landing. Movement. A shadow. Somewhere above, Angel called, "Talk!" There was a flash at the top of the stairs. A shot. I lunged for the third stair. A figure stepped out of the darkness 12 feet above me. Another flash. Angel! Chapter 2. The next morning, I realized how much in common I had with my heroes. They were, of course, some of the greatest detectives in history. I'm speaking of Doyle's Holmes, Christie's Poirot, and Bigger's Charlie Chan. I could add Scooby and Shaggy, but they're cartoons and don't count. The others are fictional characters too, but they're legends nonetheless. Now, I'm not saying I'm a legend. I'm saying they're all dead. And so am I. Being dead is not intuitive, mind you. In fact, it's downright confusing, disappointing even. There were no trumpets, billowy clouds, or bright beacons of light. Not yet, anyway. On the bright side, there was no horny guy with bad breath and fire everywhere either. No, the revelation of my fate began with me sitting at my desk, dazed and confused. I felt as though I touched a bare electric cord while taking a bath. Images swirled around me. My eyes didn't focus at first, and my body felt edgy and uncontrolled. It took a long time to realize where and who I was. The pictures on the den wall were at first empty frames. The books and the knickknacks were foreign and without a story. Nothing seemed familiar. Until I saw the evidence in the hallway. A body. My body. The lightning hit me again and I exploded in a kaleidoscope of memories. My life hadn't passed before me last night after charging for the stairs. It waited until now, just now, and the rush of 40 years poured over me. All of them, every memory, left me aching and afraid. My house was alive with murmurs and police radios, rushing feet and crime scene technicians taking photographs. They vacuumed the carpets for evidence and dusted fingerprint powder everywhere. Their meticulous search for clues left nothing untouched. All the proof I needed was on the foyer carpet just outside my den. My body lay crumpled where it fell just after 2 this morning. I never made the third step before the bullet struck my chest and ended my life. It was gone before I hit the floor. I didn't recall any trauma, any pain, or any fear. Just a flash. When I opened my eyes, it was over. I watched my body being processed for gunshot residue, fibers, and time of death. The crime lab technician bagged my hands to protect evidence. Someone else kept snapping photographs and took measurements. I performed these procedures dozens of times over the years. Watching, they now took on a new meaning. So did homicide. It had been my job and an important one, and I tried never to let it get personal. Now, it was very personal. My body and I shared the same 41-year-old exterior, 5'11" and about 195 pounds, with short brown hair and 3 days growth of beard. My body was barefoot, wearing a blood-stained t-shirt and jeans. Luckily, Spirit Me had enough class to have on a blue blazer and my running shoes, my customary detective attire. Even my gold detective's badge was clipped in its customary place on my belt. Not that wardrobe matters to the dead, but I'd hate to spend the eternity half naked. I looked at my body and saw the crime scene technician signal someone in the living room across the hall. A petite, dark-haired woman wearing a sweatshirt and jeans emerged. She stood in the doorway looking down at my body. Helen Sutter was the captain of the Sheriff's Department's detective squad and my boss. She knelt down beside my body, and the hum of commotion from a half-dozen cops quieted. A few tears touched her cheek, and she wiped them away. She cussed a few times, bit her lip, and waved at one of the technicians. "Carl, no mistakes. I want everything by the numbers. Do it all 3 times. The one who screws up my evidence dies a slow death." Carl shrugged. "There is no evidence." "Don't give me that shit. There's always evidence," she said. "Find it." "Yes, ma'am." Carl looked back at my body and threw his chin at the other 2 deputies nearby. Feet started moving again. Orders spat. Cameras shuddered. Captain Sutter lifted her radio and stood up. Spence, Sutter, give me an update. The radio chirped and sputtered. Yeah, Captain. Nothing. Not a damn thing. We've talked to everyone on both sides of the street for 2 blocks. Then make it 4 blocks, she said, and cover the side streets. Then you can damn well do it again. The radio chirped again, but no voice followed. Braddock, Captain Sutter bellowed. Braddock! My front door banged open and a mountain walked in. He was 260 pounds of rock and muscle. His hair was cut short and his face scruffy and stained with emotion. Powerful muscles strained against his golf shirt matted with dark stains. Blood stains. My blood. Detective Theodore Braddock, bare to most, stopped inside the doorway. Bear Braddock was not an emotional man, not by any means. We'd been partners since the police academy 20 years ago. Since then, I'd seen the brute pick up body parts after a horrific traffic accident without a twitch. He could clear out a bar fight and take a beating without losing his temper. Not too long ago, I'd seen him at his own brother's funeral, and he never shed a tear. He wasn't a cold man, mind you, just hard and tough. Maybe he was really a wussy boy underneath, but no one, including me, ever saw that side of him. No one ever suggested it was there, either. Now, he raised his chin and refused to glance at my body. Yeah, Cap? Give me what you got, she said. Nothing new. Captain Sutter took his arm and dragged him into my den, stopping beside the desk where I was still rooted. As she did, Bear sidestepped my body like a child afraid to step on the cracks. Then give it to me one more time, she said. Yeah, right. Again. Bear went to my brown leather chair in the corner and dropped into it. He leaned forward, burying his face into his meaty hands. I got the call from Angel at 2:05. I know 'cause that's the time on my cell. She was upstairs locked in her bedroom. She said Tuck got shot, maybe dead. Someone was in the house. Tuck went to see and... She was nodding. And you? I arrived about 2:30ish, came straight in and found him. He was already... Got it. She looked back into the foyer. You two were supposed to be on surveillance all night, right? Yeah. Bear cleared his throat. His eyes were red and his face puffy from an onslaught of emotions. It was going nowhere. Nothing happening at the warehouse, so I called it an early night. How early? She asked. He thought, and then he said, 11, I guess? Maybe a little after. So? I went straight home, he said. Tuck said he was going to do some paperwork at the office for a few hours. Angel didn't expect him home, so he was going to catch up. Bear's face angered. I already went through this, Cap. Give me a break. Sutter gave him a moment. Okay, after you found him and called it in, then what? I searched the place, he said. Outside too. Nothing. Uniforms arrived 5 minutes later. Do we have anything to go on, she asked. In one violent rush, Bear got to his feet and closed in on my filing cabinet. He slammed 2 brutal blows into its side, denting the metal and sending several framed photographs tumbling to the floor. I guess not. She waited until Bear straightened himself. Motive? Clues? A friggin' guess here? Come on, Bear. Give me something. Motive? Give me a break, Cap. We've been chasing a man for weeks now. You know that. We pay him a visit and try to connect the dots back to the guard's murder, and wham! Tuck's in a body bag. What more do you want? Helen Sutter might have been small for a cop. She was feisty. At 45, she still had a youthful, pretty face that hid the steel character inside. Small and girly were deceiving. Helen Sutter could outshoot, outdrink, outcuss, and outsmart most of the cops in the county. Now, she drove an iron finger into Bear's chest and backed him all the way to the dented filing cabinet. I want evidence, Bear. Speculation and revenge won't impress a courtroom. Get me fingerprints, witnesses, or a freaking microscopic fiber. Link this to him, and I'll drab his mobbed up ass in myself. Just prove it. Only a fool or a desperate man hits a cop. Bear straightened himself again and had to look down in order to find her eyes a foot below him. Yeah, I got that. But if not him, who? Find out, she said. There's no forced entry, nothing taken, nothing ransacked, nothing. She walked to the opened-end door and looked at my body. We rarely get 2 homicides a year, let alone in a couple weeks. The crime boys have diddly shit. Tuck's backup piece is gone. It's probably the murder weapon. Son of a bitch. Bear moved beside her and, for the first time, looked over my body. His voice was guttural. It was either someone who knew the house and how to get in and out, or, she finished, it was a professional hit. All right, that was chapters 1 and 2 from Dying to Know by TJ O'Connor. I hope you're dying to know what happens. Dying to Know is a paranormal mystery. I know you guys didn't figure that out from the dead guy who's a detective. Police detective Oliver Tucker is dead, killed in his own home. And while his body is gone, his spirit remains. But to do what? Solve his murder, protect his wife, figure out why his best friend and partner is hiding evidence? So much to do and so little idea how to do it. Bottom line, Dying to Know is for you if you like your mysteries told in a new and unexpected way. All right, here's my full review. The star of this story is the storytelling style. There are certainly other examples of mysteries told or solved by dead characters, and TJ O'Connor's way of storytelling is one of the best. Detective Oliver Tucker wakes from being murdered with no idea how he got there and how to navigate this new world. You all got a little bit of touch of that, but as the story goes on, you get more of it. Like, for example, he talked about how the picture frames at first just look like squares with no images in it. And I think in the next chapter or two, you'll find out like he can't read. At least he can't read yet. So he's really figuring out how to navigate being dead. He starts from scratch. He can't open doors. He can't read, although I just told you that. He can't remember details from his life. His dog can see him, because dogs are awesome. And some people can sense him, but he can't interact. An also dead character named Doc gives him some help, but he being Tucker, is largely on his own. It's a great take on world creation, and one that is as much a subplot as it is the scene. As you heard, we get the barest glimpse of Tuck's life before he dies. So what we learn of his character comes as he's in the middle of this chaos. He's a determined character, one that doesn't bemoan his situation, even though he doesn't understand it. We see the strength of his love for his wife Angela and his dedication to law enforcement, and these ground him when a lesser character could have really drowned in the situation. The supporting characters are also the suspects. His wife Angela, who he calls Angel, his partner Bear Braddock, who you got to meet, the local retired mob boss that was referred to, an imported hitman, Angela's boss, and her surrogate uncle. The characters are really well crafted, with no one being who they seem to be. As a reader, I was kept guessing as Tuck unveiled information that reframed what I thought I knew. There are 3 main storylines. Who killed Tuck and why is the primary story. But even Tuck puts that on the back shelf when there are attempts on his wife's life. There's a construction site turned architectural excavation that keeps Angela and nearly everyone else on their toes, not her toes. Then there's the world building of Tuck's undead life. There's a good balance here, keeping the story moving while providing interest and texture. I'm sorry, my voice just decided like, hey, you are done talking. Standing at the back and looking to the front, the logic stands up really well. This is a notable feat because, in the end, this isn't a simple plot. There were plenty of opportunities to trip or miss details, and O'Connor soared above it all. In an unusual event for me, I did not have any questions. I know, I was shocked too. I'm like, nope, that all makes sense. If Tuck were not dead, this would be a solid mystery worthy of any mystery reader's time. The paranormal element made the investigation more difficult because, again, like, Tuck can't open doors, and increased the satisfaction of solving the murder. So Dying to Know was released from Level Best Books and is promoted by Partners in Crime Tours. It is available from Amazon and other book retailers. The link is in the show notes. So this is the first in the Dead Detective case files. All 3 books, Dying to Know, Dying for the Past, and Dying to Tell, are released. It looked like they were released simultaneously. So, once you start reading, you can just keep going. Let me tell you a little bit about TJ O'Connor. He is an award-winning author of mysteries and thrillers. He is an international security consultant specializing in anti-terrorism, investigations, and threat analysis, life experiences that drive his novels. As a government agent and years as a consultant, he has lived and worked throughout many countries in the European Union and the Americas. In his spare time, he is a Harley Davidson pilot, a man about dogs, and now cats, a lover of adventure, cooking, and good spirits, both kinds. A link to TJ's website is in the show notes, and you can also find him on social media. Partners in Crime Tours represents a network of 300 plus bloggers offering tailor-made virtual book tours and marketing options for crime, mystery, and thriller writers from around the world. Founded in 2011, PICT offers services for well-established and best-selling authors, as well as those just starting out their careers. PICT prides itself on its tailored packages for authors with a personal touch from tour coordinators. For more information, check out their website, partnerinCrimeTours.com. Join us next week for Season 8, Anything But Murder. Safecracking is our murderless crime in Clipped by Robert J. Binney. I have to say, Clipped is one of my favorites so far this season. The lead character, Henri, is just awesome, so I hope you come back and get a laugh with me, Jack, and Henri. All right, Jack, take us out.